Microsoft Excel, Blue Box 22. We can use icon sets as a way of creating a conditional formatting to let us know whether visually we can send a quick signal of whether something is good or bad, for example. In this example, I'm going to make sure I've selected J9, go to conditional formatting, and I'm going to choose icon sets. And I'm going to use the uh, first directional one with the three arrows that you see here. Once I select this, though, Microsoft is actually just going to guess as to what the cutoff should be for what gets a green arrow, what gets a yellow arrow, and what gets a red arrow, which is a little odd. And you can see it decided that that number was a good number. Not sure its logic there, but I can change the rule and be very specific. And in this particular instance, what I want is down here in C31, you can see that we have a pro shop minimum of $350 that we're interested in making sure that occurred for the weekly sales. So the way in which I can go and tie it directly to that 350 is I'm going to choose conditional formatting. By the way, let me make sure that I'm clear. I'm still activating the cell where the conditional formatting exists. I'm going to go down to conditional formatting and down to the very last choice, manage rules. If you recall that we had many rules on this worksheet already, but I only see one. If I see show formatting rules for and I change this worksheet, then I can actually see all the previous ones that I have had so far. So for example, here are the top and bottom rules for the different sections that I had. Here's where we turned our negative numbers red, and now I have the icon set. If I only have for current selection, then it's going to only show the rules for the selected cells that I have chosen. I'm going to go to edit the rule. So we're going to edit this rule. And the reality is our sales cannot fall below 0. As a result of not being able to fall below 0, it means that I only need a green and a red arrow. So I'm going to change the yellow icon here to red, and then I'm going to change this to no cell icon. The book's not very clear on what the meaning of this is, and so I'll be clear once we set up our conditions. The dollar value is a dollar value, not a percentage, so we're going to change this to number. We're going to change this one to number as well. The number that we're interested in for showing a green arrow is going to be when we are greater than or equal to $350. So I'm going to clear out that value 0 and then come down here and click on the 350. Now let's take a quick look at what this rule is saying. The rule is going to give me the green arrow up when we're greater than or equal to $350. That's going to work just fine. And once it finds that that condition holds, it doesn't move on. What happens if we're not greater than or equal to 350? Well, if you think about the kind of values that could be less than 350, some of them are positive, some of them are negative, right? We turned off the last option when less than 0. So technically, we would see a green arrow in this instance anytime the cell value is greater than or equal to 350. If we're between 0 and 350, it'll give us the red arrow. But as soon as we're 0 or negative, it's actually not going to show us any value at all. So be careful and be aware of what we actually see here and what we're actually going to get. I'm sorry, I take that back. If it were 0, because we're looking for greater than or equal to 0, it will show red. So only the negative numbers will show no icon whatsoever. Now, from a practical standpoint, this is going to be true. We're not going to have negative sales for a week. So I don't really need to worry about the negative sales. But do realize that there's the possibility that you could actually have negative values in whatever the cell is that you're looking for. Then you might actually have to define all three. But what if you only wanted a green or a red arrow? Well, if somehow they could be negative values, I could reuse that icon again. So I could say if it's greater than or equal to 350, it's green. If it's positive but less than 350, it's red. And if it's negative, it's the red down arrow again. But in our instance, we wanted to show you that we can limit ourselves to above 350 and above, or 0 to 350, but 350 not included. Go ahead and hit OK. Hit OK again. We can use the format painter. So if I click on the format painter and then come down and click on the 1650, then we'll see whether we get a green icon or not. However, it's important to understand that when I did that, I had referenced the 350 in C31. The reality is the golf lesson minimum is the 1750. So just like we were able to edit the rule before, we can edit the rule again. And sometimes, even if it's faster for us to use the format painter and edit than it might be to create the brand new rule from scratch. That's one of the decisions you'll have to make as a user. Would it have been easier for you to just go ahead and recreate this rule from scratch, or take the rule that has already been used, reapply it, and then make a quick edit? Either way works. Showing you that the quick edit way works. Again, now that I've activated the cell with 1,650, I'll go to manage rules. Make sure I've got the right one. Notice it says it applies to J25. I'll go to edit the rule. And where I have the C31, I'm going to go ahead and just hit my delete key. So I've completely cleared that out. And instead, I'm going to click on C34 and go ahead and hit OK. And hit OK again. Now you'll notice that green arrow swapped from being up because it was above 350. But now that we've changed the rule and said, no, it's 1750 is the figure that we like. You might ask yourself as well, why didn't I type in manually 350 or manually 1750? It's because this rule is going to work even if I change this number. So if I change the number and said, oh no, now it's only 1500, then you notice the conditional formatting automatically works for me. Please do leave the contents of C34 to 1750, but you can play around and demonstrate that the rule will automatically reflect whatever the value is in C34, as opposed to being locked into 1750 forever, or until we make another change.